Hey guys, how's it going? I'm here to talk about the secondary air system delete plate by LimeSwap. I've been messing with my TrailBlazer, doing everything I can. Probably going to be getting it tuned by them too. Just want to see what all changes can do, and I'm also on the forums and everything. So people are probably like, "What is this?" Well, I don't know if if you live in the cold like me, you'll hear this go on tons if your car is, if your TrailBlazer is old enough. I have an '09. I've got 95K on it. No, it's not too bad. But what the secondary air system does, which if you've got an intake, you know what I'm talking about, you're like wondering, okay, what does this tube do? Well, see this valve right here? What happens is when it's cold in the morning, it'll take air from the intake, and there's a pump under the car, and it'll pump that air through this valve, and it'll send it to the catalytic converter to try to get it to heat up quicker, fire up quicker, and make the catalytic converter work faster. Now, being an emission system, that's not necessary. Now, I totally, depends on your state. We don't have any emissions testing, so I'm going to remove this. Plus, it's not that big of a deal. I just want to see what's going on. If I have the chance of doing a turbo build, I'm going to have to do this anyways because the turbo is going to sit right here, so this would be getting in the way. But, hey, I figured let's try it out. And test. I mean, this plate's only $10, so now your check engine light is going to come on until you get a retune, tell the car that your system's removed. But that's no big deal for me because I know what it is. And then you probably guys are like looking at like, oh, white pipe, what's going on here? Well, I've been just messing around with the intake, and as you guys know, for the 06 to 09 with the mass airflow sensor, K&N intake's only this part, and then you've got your big resonator up here, up top. Well, we figured out that, on the forums that the resonator is just for sound, so it's not that big of a deal. So as long as you get, I just went up and picked up a pipe for now to test it, and then I'll be getting, actual air and pipe, intake piping, because this is just PVC, but it works for now. I just, it was $4 and I wanted to test it. So basically what I did was I got this little, filter for the vent right here, and this is just for the valve cover vent, so that's not big of a deal either. But getting rid of this resonator, wow, makes the intake so much louder on this. My filter's a little dirty, I gotta clean that up, but all you need is to get, like a 3-inch piece of pipe. Make sure it is clear of that coil pack right there. Mine is just barely, it just barely fits. I'm probably gonna, when I do pick up piping, I'm probably gonna get 2.75. I mean, it's about the same size of the K&N intake. I can tell that 3-inch pipe's a little bit bigger. I guess with intake piping though, it's not gonna be as thick. That PVC's, pretty thick. But, I'm gonna get new silicone connecting hoses too, and all that. I'm gonna fix it up before I get the retune done. But I figured I'd test it out. A lot louder. Car feels a little more. It's got a little more throttle response to it. So, and it doesn't affect anything because the mass airflow sensor is still intact. Blah blah blah. So, if you're also, I mean, not that this is gonna take a ton of weight out by removing the secondary air system. But what I've noticed is, like, if it goes bad, what's the point of replacing it? It's going to cost you probably like $150 to get the new pump or whatever valve. I'm not sure how much it is, but it's probably going to cost you a lot of money to get the new valve and new pump when you can buy the delete plate for $10. I mean, I know it's emissions, so like if you're in California, you probably won't get away with this, but for here, it's not that big of a deal. It's a 13 mil. There's only 2 bolts on here, so there's gonna be a smaller nut right here holding on the bracket. Now when you put the delete plate in, you're gonna bolt that back up, but just to note that smaller one, probably 2 sizes smaller. Alright guys, so I ended up undoing my intake to give me more room. After you undo this bracket bolt, It's the same thing, you just undo the other bolt. So this bracket bolt was a 10 millimeter, and then the 13 again, and then it just came right off. So you undo, you push down and pull this off, and then you undo the clip, and then now it's time to put the block off plate back on. This tube is now, we don't need this anymore, which I'll go through and unpull this from under the car, and I'll also show you guys where to find the pump. Then I got to figure out what I'm going to do with this connector, because obviously it's not used anymore. But for now, I'll probably just leave it on there, tape it up real good, or put a cover on it, just in case. So this will all mount back up, so then problem solved. So also make sure you leave this gas. Alright, so I got everything bolted back up. You want those tight, but not too tight so you don't strip it out. You know, just snug up. I would recommend using some of the exhaust sealant on that gasket, since you're taking it out and off. But that's what the final product looks like. Alright guys, so the other thing would be, is I just want to show you the last few steps that I took to finish this install. So I went to Walmart, because you got to plug this part of the intake tube. So I went to Walmart, found some 1-inch rubber chair tips, or like feet, and then you're just going to use the hose clamp you already had on there. Push this on, tighten down that hose clamp, and then that is now plugged. And then, as you can see, everything else is taken out. The valve's taken out. The delete plate is in tight. Make sure nothing's leaking. Then also, what I did is the plug for the solenoid. Cut that out. Individually wrapped each wire with electrical tape. Then shrink wrap that together. Then wrapped it, zip tied it up. So now there's nothing from the secondary air system in here left. The only thing that's left is this this part right here, which is the plastic tube that runs to the other side. That's the only part that's left. The tubes on the other side are gone and taken out, and then the pump on the bottom of the car, that's gone, and then the plug is for that, the power plug for that plug, or for the pump at the bottom, that's covered up too. So now that this is going to be plugged, you've got your plate on, your wiring's taken care of, you're going to be all set, and you're not going to have any issues with your intake, you know, because if you left this without without plugging this, you're going to get extra air that's not filtered, because and obviously you don't want that into your intake. You don't want a spot where there's no filter on it, and you don't want to put another filter on it. It's easier to just plug it, because then this is all just going to be one system. And then also what I did was I ended up painting that pipe that I had. I went and picked up some heat resistant paint, or like the engine enamel that's in gloss black, painted this up. So then I'm going to go ahead and install this back in. And then now I'm just going to need my PCM tune to fix the engine light, so that they can they'll go in there and delete the secondary air system out of the system, and then no engine light. It's going to run better. You're not going to have the high pitch like whine, or like high amount of or it's like the pump noise in the morning when the car's cold and you start it in the morning. You can hear that pump going. That's all going to be gone. So also, I noticed when I did drive it for a few minutes before I did these last few things, the exhaust note was a little bit deeper, but that's because there's no exhaust leaving the system now. It's not going through the pump, or the pump's not putting air in. It's just the exhaust manifold. So put this all back together, and I'll do a couple final shots, and hope that helped you installing your secondary air system delete, and have a good one. lose a little bit of my exhaust. I just picked a cheap tip, and obviously car's dirty too, so see if I can get, see, that's all it is. It's mellow, it doesn't have any drone, it sounds decent. So let me see if I can prop up the camera here and give it a couple revs.